What is up, guys? It is Carly here, and I'm gonna sit way back here because it is super bright in here right now, so I apologize for that. But I am finally back with another weekly dose of horror. I missed a week or so because simply because I really haven't had time to watch anything extra. Unfortunately, I've been watching things for podcasts as well as stuff that comes to the theater. So ironically, I haven't been able to watch anything because I've been watching stuff that's just stuff I have to watch essentially for podcasts and the stuff that comes to a theater. I have a new podcast for that as well. So me and JP have been going to see movies quite often, which is awesome. But I go after work, and by the time I'm done with that, it's nighttime and it's time to go to bed and wake up for work again the next day. So don't really have time to watch a lot of extra things at this point. But today I did have a day off and wasn't really doing anything. So I was able to do this, and the movie I'll be talking about today is actually Cold Prey from the year 2006. Yes, moving along with the C's, and pretty appropriate movie actually. Not planned out, obviously, but it has been very cold and snowy the past few days, despite it being pretty bright out today. And yeah, so this was actually a pretty fitting movie to watch. This movie essentially follows these 5 young people. It says they're teenagers, but they look like they're like in their 20s, but who cares? We'll just say like a group of 5 friends who go out to ski. They want to go up into the mountains and just, get together and ski and have a good time. It eventually takes a turn for the worse when one of their friends has an accident and ends up breaking his leg. So they are forced to pretty much spend the night up there. They find this abandoned ski lodge and take refuge there, but they soon realize that they might not be alone there based on some things they are finding that seems to be very recent items that look like they might have belonged to other people, and it's just very weird because I believe it's supposed to be this place that's been abandoned for many, many years, 30 years or so. So it's weird that they're finding this stuff, and things start to go from there. Some of their friends turn up missing, and everything starts to go down. I've seen this movie once before, a few years ago. Didn't really remember a ton about it, besides a few minor details, but I remember I liked it, and on this rewatch, I thought it was really good once again. It's a modern day slasher movie. On the back, it kind of compares it to like Friday the 13th, but the thing with modern slashers is they're played a lot more serious than the classic cheesy 80s slashers, so I never really compare them. I think the ones that came out in the 2000s are not really similar to the 80s ones at all, but they're good in their own respects, and I think that's what you get with this one. It's played pretty serious for the most part, and just the way it's shot, even by the cover, you can tell it's very gloomy looking. It almost looks like it's shot in black and white at times just by the lighting and just the gray and bluish tints in the film. Very depressing look to it. I would compare it to movies like The Ring. That's the main one I usually compare that sort of lighting to, right off the top of the head. So it's got that very depressing look to it, and just the feeling of isolation and the fact that they're kind of like screwed and their way up there is very evident in the film. You see it when they're driving up there at the beginning, just how far up they are and how having something bad happen is not very good for them because it's very hard to get back down, and it would take a while to get help. So they established that quite well. The characters are actually all pretty likable. There's of course the typical douchebaggy character who kind of like turns on everyone at the end, and then the whole thing with the friend getting injured is one of my pet peeves with movies, honestly. When someone is either injured, it's usually a broken leg to conveniently make it so they can't walk that well, or when someone is pregnant in a film. That always tends to get on my nerves because it's just like, oh, here we go again, another big inconvenience. It's gonna slow down the rest of the group. In this movie though, I don't mind it too much. You actually really feel bad for that character in particular. He's just very scared and emotional towards the end, and you just start to actually feel for him. You don't want him to die, and you really don't want the other main girl that you have here with the short hair, I forget their names, but you don't want her to die either. And the other ones are, kind of they're like the ones that are just kind of, there's not a whole lot to them, but at the same time, they're all likable characters for the most part. So I do give the film that, because a lot of times it's kind of hard to establish in a film, and this one really does it well. I like the killer in the movie. I think he's got this very intimidating, scary look. He is all bundled up pretty much from head to toe. His whole face is covered up, and it's just very scary. He looks like a very big guy that you would have trouble fighting off, whether you're a man, female, or strong or not. He's just one of those large, intimidating dudes, and just his overall look is very, very scary, because you're kind of, you don't know what's really hiding behind the mask. So I do like that. At the end of the movie, you do get like an unmasking of him, and I kind of wish you didn't, because it's one of those things that kind of takes away the fear factor of the whole thing. He just looks like a typical guy. So that's one minor little nitpick, I guess you can say, with the film. But overall, I like this movie. I think the decisions made by characters aren't overly dumb. It's one of those ones where they're kind of in a helpless situation, so they're gonna do what they have to do, and I don't think, I think they're all pretty much played out pretty smart for the most part. Of course, there's a few dumb things here and there that are done in a panic or just the will to survive, but other than that, I think it's all done pretty well, and I really like this movie. I've never seen the sequels. I believe there's actually 2 sequels to it. I think I've heard at least part 2 is pretty good, so I would be curious to check that out, maybe pick it up one day. Actually, JP tried to get it for me once, and they sent the wrong copy. They sent another copy of this one, which I ended up I think giving away or selling or something like that, so that's unfortunate, but I would like to pick those up one day and check them out, because I do really like this movie. I give this a solid 8 out of 10. If you have not seen it and you like these 2000 slashers, it's one of the good ones. I forgot to mention it is subtitled. Forget exactly where this comes from, but Norwegian. Okay, yeah, it's a Norwegian film, so it's subtitled. So there you go. It's one where you have to read subtitles, big deal. But other than that, the acting seems pretty good from what I see, and I never mind really reading subtitles, but keep that in mind if you did not know that. 8 out of 10 for Cold Prey. Thank you guys once again for joining me. Sorry about the brightness, but yeah, what can you do? Thank you for joining me. Hopefully I'll see you guys next week, but if not, I'll see you again eventually. So see you later.